MetaStock is pleased to invite you to a webinar of about 1 hour on day XXX at YYY time, during which Corrado Cantore, who has been involved in nonlinear graphic analysis applied to financial markets for over 30 years, will show you new add-ons that he has prepared for MetaStock, with which, completely free of charge, you can easily familiarize yourself with these innovative discretionary technical analysis methods. These innovative methods of discretionary technical analysis are based on the tracing of certain nonlinear graphical analysis tools developed in the 90s of the last century by the Italian author Corrado Cantore. Among these nonlinear graphic analysis tools, particular emphasis is reserved for parabolic involutes, intended as particular parabolas, positioned on the chart of the financial market in question, so as to be tangent to 3 points selected by the operator. The presentation of some charts related to the subject of the webinar should stimulate your participation in this interesting opportunity to learn about and verify the very significant effectiveness expressed by these nonlinear graphic analysis tools in terms of discretionary technical analysis. Particularly surprising are the synergies that can be grasped between the use of algorithmic technical analysis methods and together with these innovative nonlinear discretionary technical analysis methods that can become a valuable new tool for you at the service of both operational trading and asset allocation. To get a first idea of what this type of nonlinear graphical analysis is all about, let's take a look at the evolution of the IBM stock graphically interpreted by some of these nonlinear graphical analysis tools. Figure 1. The long-term evolution of the IBM share, described in the figure, from 2011 to today, can be easily and effectively interpreted with the use of certain nonlinear graphical analysis tools such as the cubic Bezier curves, the exponential involutes, and above all the parabolic involutes of our greatest interest. Particularly effective is the graphical interpretation of IBM's evolution from 2023 to early 2025 within a nonlinear channel formed by the two exponential involutes. From my point of view, however, the signals of nonlinear graphical analysis provided by the application of parabolic involutes are particularly relevant, especially in the joint use of 2 to 2 in order to form parabolic channels such as the red one described in the figure. Equally effective are the indications on the harmony of evolution of the financial market in question, emerging from the application of the cubic Bezier curves, which, however, are only marginally discussed in this webinar as add-ons for their tracking on MetaStock are not currently available for them. However, I am working hard to make them available as soon as possible. What we want to bring to the attention of all of you who listen to us concerns the fact that both the red parabolic involutes and the turquoise exponential involutes can be reproduced directly by you exactly as you see them in the figure. To do this, you have to resort to special free add-ons that I, together with MetaStock, gladly offer to all those who are interested in nonlinear graphical analysis methods. With these free add-ons, it is in fact possible to trace the graphs displayed in this brochure and, although with small limitations, they are almost completely similar to the professional counterparts described in the webinar, also in terms of their very low price. We will return to this figure when we have a better knowledge of the nonlinear graphical analysis methods that we are now going to know in more detail, bringing your attention to the behavior of the Tesla stock in the last 2 years or so. Figure 2. In terms of nonlinear graphic analysis, the use of parabolic involutes is particularly interesting and useful as they can be traced both on the chart of the financial market in question but also on the chart of one of its algorithmic indicators, obviously capturing different signaling contents from the two types of applications. On the basis of the fact that, albeit in a joking and goliardic tone, parabolic involutes are Common trend lines a little curved. It follows that the application of nonlinear graphic analysis methods, especially with the use of parabolic involutes, basically allows you to grasp signals that are very similar to the common ones of basic technical analysis made of supports, resistances, pullbacks, etc. In this context, the principle of the long memory of parabolic involutes is particularly important, which we will learn more about in the following figures. On the basis of the experiences I have gained in over 30 years of systematic use of parabolic involutes on the various financial markets I have dealt with, it has gradually emerged that the use of parabolic involutes on the chart of the RSI indicator, positioned here in the central part of the figure, allows us to perceive the dominant sentiment high on the market. The homologous use of parabolic involutes in the interpretation of the morphology of the OBV indicator, positioned here in the lower part of the figure, allows us to understand the degree of robustness of the current trend. The contextual use of these methods defined as graphical algorithmic analysis as they concern the application of nonlinear graphical analysis methods to algorithmic indicators, in March 2025 made it possible to identify two absolutely clear and convincing operational signals, with absolute timeliness and with a high degree of awareness on the part of the operator. On March 19th, the graphical algorithmic analysis methods at the point indicated by the letter A signaled the exhaustion of the corrective action by the Tesla stock, and consequently gave an operational indication of the opening of a long position. Subsequently, on May 25th, at the opposite point indicated by the letter B, have indicated in equally clear and convincing terms the opportunity to close long positions and open a short position. Timeliness, clarity of operational signals and level of awareness on the prospective state of the market are aspects characterizing the nonlinear graphic analysis methods that have made it possible to formulate the following slogan, of which, during the webinar, you will be able to appreciate its value and of which you will be able to see the practical effectiveness and support of your operation with the use that the add-ons, both free and professional, they know how to offer. Nonlinear graphic analysis equals timeliness and clarity of signage without comparison. Figure 3. The transposition of the applications of the graphical algorithmic analysis methods from a graph with a daily time frame, which we have seen in the previous figures, to a graph with a 10-minute time frame can only further enrich the specific signaling contents that this nonlinear graphic analysis method can effectively propose. The orderly reading of the signaling contents is presented in the figure in relation to the graphic indications emerging both from the evolution of Tesla shares, based on the green and red concave parabolic involutes, and from the yellow and blue convex ones, and also from the evolution of the RSI and OBV indicators in relation to the respective parabolic involutes. Particularly important is what is indicated with point C, where a powerful bearish pullback is formed due to the achievement by the RSI indicator of the two parabolic involute of red and green resistance. On the basis of what is described in the figure, it emerges that the closing levels of the positions indicated at point A, based on the violation of the yellow parabolic involute of support by its RSI indicator, or alternative to the following point B, based on the violation of the red parabolic involute of support by the Tesla stock and the opportunity to open a short position at point C, are positioned roughly on the same price level. This characteristic of substantial confirmation of intervention prices is rather recurrent in the use of graphical algorithmic analysis methods and, as such, also confers an additional operational serenity to the operator in charge of operating on the financial markets following these methods of graphical algorithmic analysis of financial markets, also allowing him an easy and reasoned formulation of their most probable evolutions. Figure 4. The technical ability expressed by the methods of graphical algorithmic analysis apply to the financial markets that we have seen in the previous two figures referring to a multi-day and intraday trading operation. It is equally effective for longer-term asset allocation operations. Perhaps I should say that it develops with increasing effectiveness as it is applied to financial markets that are increasingly extended over time. The figure describes the evolution of the IBM stock in its complete interpretation with the graphical algorithmic analysis methods which, allow me to recall, concern both the application of parabolic involutes and exponential involutes to the chart of the financial market in question and concern the application of parabolic involutes to the chart of its RSI and OBV indicators with the intention of perceiving respectively the evolution of the dominant sentiment market and the level of robustness of the trend. In the figure, some aspects worthy of attention have been recalled which, as far as possible, are always useful to try to perceive from the examination of the evolution chart of a financial market, especially when operating with an interest in an asset allocation operation. By way of example, it is interesting to observe in the figure how the red parabolic involute traced on the chart of the RSI indicator has been visited by the indicator itself in 9 situations recalled by the yellow circles and consequently, by virtue of what has been observed in the previous 12 years. In the spring of 2025 it is exerting a very valid support to the RSI indicator and consequently IBM stock is the same represented. With its extension of about 15 years, the parabolic involute in question well documents the value of the principle of the long memory of parabolic involutes. Another interesting aspect that emerges in the figure is the clear and convincing indication of the indispensable opening of long positions on IBM in mid-October 2013 in the presence of the formation of bullish pullbacks both by the RSI indicator and by the OBV indicator on the respective parabolic involute of support in overcoming the resistance level indicated in yellow on the stock. One last aspect that we want to bring to the attention of those who follow us concerns the fact that all the graphs, mentioned in the figure, can be built by the user of the MetaStock platform by resorting to the add-ons that MetaStock and I are pleased to make available to all those who express interest in the topic. Figure 5. The nonlinear graphical analysis methods provide an effective integration between the indications of systematic technical analysis, here expressed by a simple 200-day moving average, and those of discretionary technical analysis expressed here by the blue concave parabolic involutes. The evolution of over 12 years of Apple that we read in the figure has been affected by the development over time of a very regular support parabolic channel, consisting of the two green and red concave parabolic involutes. The presence of the red lower parabolic involute has been verified in its evolution by Apple in 7 different circumstances and indicated by yellow circles, highlighting once again the value of the principle of the long memory of parabolic involutes. During 2025, Apple recorded a first corrective movement to the downward violation of the green upper parabolic involute of the parabolic channel, and this decline was accentuated at the subsequent violation of the red parabolic involute. From a purely graphic point of view, the decline in April 2025 is therefore to be interpreted as a manifestation of a situation of discontinuity of the positive trend that has characterized Apple's evolution in the previous 12 years. The corrective movement in question was exhausted when the support exerted by the pair of the two blue convex parabolic involutes was found. Apple's behavior allows us to highlight how the nonlinear graphical analysis methods are to be interpreted as graphical analysis methods that integrate synergistically with the algorithmic methods such as, by way of example, the common moving averages that are the basis of algorithmic technical analysis. In this way, the use of nonlinear graphical analysis methods allows you to define levels of objectives, up or down, that a financial market can likely achieve when an algorithmic analysis signal occurs, such as, for example, the common overcoming of a moving average or its violation. On this front of analysis, the figure shows the identification of a bullish price target indicated by pointer that Apple could probably easily reach by virtue of the indications of algorithmic analysis based on the overcoming of the 200-day moving average at point A. Pointed is determined on the continuation of the convex turquoise parabolic involutes, at the achievement of which it was reasonable to expect either an exhaustion of the movement in progress at that moment or its acceleration in the presence of their convincing overcoming. A very similar situation, albeit of the opposite sign, is represented by the corrective movement from point B to point B. The opening of a short position at point B could be left open until the convex parabolic involute at point B was reached, at which a prompt and important positive reaction was actually initiated. Figure 6. We close this webinar presentation with an application of graphical algorithmic analysis methods to the evolution of the price of gold in the very long term, as can be read in the first 10 to 12 years of the century and until the peak of the summer of 2011. The evolution of gold was well interactable with the use of a nonlinear channel composed of two exponential involutes, while from that date onwards it was equally effectively interactable by a parabolic channel formed by two parabolic involutes. The use of nonlinear graphical analysis methods and in particular of graphical algorithmic analysis, useful on the operational trading front, is particularly fruitful in its application in terms of asset allocation and the use of parabolic channels, i.e. formed by two parabolic involutes on the chart of the RSI indicator. If anything further graphically interpreted with oscillatory circles, they are particularly useful in terms of decisions, especially of asset allocation. More correctly, we should not only talk about asset allocation decisions but also about sharing asset allocation decisions as the representation of the state-of-the-art of a financial market with the attached representation of its reasonable evolution prospectuses. With the use of these graphic representations can prove to be particularly useful within an investment committee, for example in the search for a common and shared operational view. Figure 7. If you want to know in more detail what I have briefly mentioned here, register for the webinar. With your participation in the webinar you will be able to learn more about the effectiveness of nonlinear graphical analysis methods applied to a large number of different financial markets. Certainly no less important is the fact that on that occasion you will be able to learn more about how to use the free versions of these add-ons with which you will be able to replicate a large part of the figures illustrated in the webinar that I, Corrado Cantore and MetaStock are happy to offer to all of you and to all interested people. You can access downloads of these add-ons by accessing the following website https://www.tradingknowledge.it/metastock.htm where you can consult much more interesting material on this subject. Thank you for your attention to this presentation of the webinar.
Dottore Corrado Cantore, Rome, June 9, 2025.
Material on this subject.